Across 1,000 years of war, loyalty, migration, faith, and survival, one family moved through the shifting landscapes of medieval Europe and the emerging Atlantic world. From Norman courts to Celtic frontiers, from royal service to colonial hardship, the Payne family stood at the crossroads of history. This series reconstructs their story using the discipline of prosopography, the study of families and communities through the patterns they leave behind. Land, offices, marriages, seals, charters, witness lists, heraldry, and the faint traces written in archival shadows. It is a journey across medieval England, Ireland, Normandy, and finally, the early settlements of North America. You are listening to Domesday to America, a prosopographical history of the Payne family from the early Middle Ages to the Atlantic world. History, someone once said, is not merely the story of kings and kingdoms, but of the families who carried the world upon their backs. This book is the story of one such family, a name carried across 1,000 years, through war and famine, through rebellion and renewal, across seas, kingdoms and continents. The Payne family. Most genealogies begin in parish registers. This one begins in the mists before the Norman conquest, with a moneyer named Ranulph, striking coins on a wild frontier between Scotland and England. From the clang of his hammer, a lineage emerges. From his descendants, a network of Paynells, Fitzpaynes and Paynes that threads its way from Normandy to Yorkshire. From the Welsh marches to the baronial halls of Norfolk. From the chancelleries of kings to the quiet manors that still bear their name. It is a story shaped not only by archival evidence, charters, seals, and Domesday entries, but by the unseen forces of migration, loyalty, bloodline, and survival you will hear of. The Payne who stood beside John of Gaunt. The Payne who served as chief butler to Henry IV. The Payne who rode with Henry V into France. The Payne who influenced the world of Chaucer and Wycliffe, and the Paynes who crossed an ocean and built lives in New England, Virginia, Maryland, and beyond. This is not merely a genealogy, it is a prosopography, a collective biography, a method that examines a whole family across time, revealing hidden structures of power, movement, and identity. It is also the story of returning home, to Hellhoughton and Itteringham, to Rowdham and Castle Acre, tracking the threads that tie modern life to medieval land, medieval faith, medieval service, and finally, it is the story of the Atlantic heirs, the Paynes who stood at Jamestown, who braved Roanoke and the Newfoundland fisheries, who survived Bermuda, who fought in the Revolution, who helped build a new world. You hold in your hands a journey that spans the Celtic Iron Age, the Norman world, the medieval English kingdom, the Reformation, the early modern Atlantic, and the birth of the United States of America. This is the Payne story, from Domesday to America. Welcome. The voyage begins now. There are moments in life when the past stops whispering and begins to call you by name. For Patrick Payne, the Payne family was never just a collection of distant ancestors or scattered archival footnotes. It was a presence, a pressing insistence, a thread pulling him back through the centuries. Patrick would say it this way. What began as a simple search for family origins grew into something far larger, a pursuit that carried me across kingdoms, across oceans, and across the wide arc of 1,000 years of history. I did not expect that. I did not go looking for it. But the story insisted on being found. I discovered a lineage that moved not gently through time, but boldly. Men and women who served kings, crossed borders, minted coins on wild frontiers, sailed into unknown seas, challenged authority, followed faith, and helped shape the early Atlantic world. They stood in the shadow of castles, in the halls of dukes, on the battlefields of France, in the courts of England, and in the fragile wooden settlements of the New World. And somehow, across all of that, their story survived. Not in a straight line, not in an unbroken chain, but in fragments. A charter here, a seal there, a manor listed in Domesday, a signature on the Declaration, a whisper in an Irish chronicle, a parish entry blackened with age, sound. Piece by piece, a picture emerged. At first, I thought I was simply reconstructing a genealogy, but what unfolded was something deeper. A prosopography, a collective life story, a way of seeing how individuals become families, how families become networks, and how networks help build nations. There were moments of profound discovery. When Ranulph the Monnier stepped out of the shadows of the early Middle Ages, when the Fitzpaine and Paynell lines aligned with unmistakable clarity, when the Norfolk and Suffolk branches interlocked with their medieval counterparts, when what felt impossible suddenly made perfect sense. And even then, the story wasn't finished. The Paynes of the Atlantic came next. Their courage and resilience carried the name into the wide unknown of America. Jamestown, Roanoke, New England, Maryland, Virginia, Newfoundland. The name survives in these places still. For me, this has been more than research. It has been a reclamation, a restoration of memory. Some families preserve their history in vaults of parchment and pedigree. Ours preserved it in a different way, through movement, service, courage, and survival, that perhaps is the truest legacy. This book is my attempt to honour that legacy, to give it shape, to give it voice, to give it back to those who carry the name today, wherever they may be. I write this with gratitude, with humility, and with the awareness that none of us truly stands alone. We stand on the work, the struggle, and the stories of those who came before. I leave no heirs to carry our name forward, nor does my elder brother leave a remnant of our paternal Y-DNA. Of our two male Payne cousins, they also leave behind no genetic heir to carry it forward. When we pass the Payne-Boleyn family line, from Thomas Payne, Lord of Nowers Hall, or Netherhall, in Itteringham, and his wife, Elizabeth Boleyn, once believed to be long extinct for hundreds of years, now revived for a short time, will finally come to an end. So to the Paynes past, and to the Paynes yet to come, this is for all of us. Patrick Allen Payne, author and researcher, Domesday to America Project. You are listening to Domesday to America, a prosopographical history of the Payne family from the early Middle Ages to the Atlantic world.